And then you end up doing these events and you just end up doing it with people you really want to spend time with, even when it's uncomfortable.
Welcome to the Low Tide Boys, a Swimrun podcast. I'm Chip.
And I'm Chris, and this is episode 152 of the show. On this week's show, we have a team that we met in Sweden and instantly vibed with. Joining us in Studio G is Team Dryrobe / German Sparkle Party, Fabian, Eberhard, and Markus Rössel. These guys are stud swimrunners and great ambassadors for the sport, and this was a super fun conversation that you won't want to miss.
Don't miss it. You won't want to miss it. But first, don't miss our most thrilling training update of the year. The training update? There is no training update.
Yeah.
Yay for us.
Still no
Although
training.
you're having a bit of fun this weekend.
Yeah. Doing some feats of endurance.
Maybe we'll hear about that in the next round of feats of endurance.
See how it goes.
Or you won't hear about it. On to this week's shoutouts.
Our shout out this week goes to Lars Risberg. He is the lucky guy, I guess lucky, that won a set of custom LTBz-designed Frank Paddle Pro paddles last week. This was part of a giveaway. When we were in Sweden, we met up with Frederic, super cool guy, and he had us kind of design these paddles, and he was going to do a giveaway with this order of pro paddles that he was putting together. So congrats, Lars.
He's lucky because he has 2 sets of Franks.
Yeah.
What if he just takes some nail polish remover to the Low Tide Boys art? And
I don't know if that's going to work because I think that Frederic put like the clear coat on top. So sorry, dude, you're stuck with it.
Sorry, Luke, Lars. Sorry. I hope you enjoy it. 101. Those are there's only one of those. That's for sure. Speaking of one, there's only one winner in this week's Feats of Endurance, and the winner cracked the algorithm, the Low Tide Boys algorithm, by uploading and posting workouts from Puerto Rico over the weekend. Big congrats to Victor Rosado.
Yeah, 2-time winner. At this
he's
point.
already, I think he's got an in. He has some sort of family or something in Puerto Rico.
I think he's Puerto Rican. I think he's Puerto Rican. He lives in the East Coast. I know he lives in Maryland because I've stalked him on Strava.
Okay.
And he must be Puerto Rican because he's going to Puerto Rico way too much for someone named Victor Rosado not to be Puerto Rican. But yeah, it's awesome. And
Congrats.
That's guaranteed win.
Guaranteed win. So if you're looking to get a shout out on the show, just book a ticket to Puerto Rico.
There you go.
And upload one Strava workout and tag Chris and myself. And you can more or less.
This Feats of Endurance is brought to you by the Puerto Rican Tourism Bureau.
Absolutely. If you're wondering what the hell we're talking about, head on over to Strava, search Low Tide Boys, and join the fun. Join all the fun we're having over in the Strava Club. Give kudos, receive kudos, and cheer on Victor as he continues to train in Puerto Rico. Now for a little bit of show business. Well, speaking of Dryrobe, German Sparkle Party, we are very stoked to announce Dryrobe is our newest supporter in the 2023 season. We really look forward to doing some cool stuff with them next year and producing some really fun content, and most importantly, staying warm. Staying
so
warm.
We'll be so warm.
We're going to be
the warmest we've ever been
in our Dryrobes. It will be the warmest.
Awesome.
So we're going to have some fun contests. Dryrobe has. We're looking forward to doing some giveaways and other fun stuff to win some Dryrobes. But super stoked on that. Stay tuned for more in 2023. Now on to the original Dryrobe team, German Sparkle Party.
Yeah, it was so much fun to chat with Fabian and Markus about their swimrun journey. As we mentioned at the outset, we met them in Sweden a few months back and felt that sort of instant connection of with swimrunners that take the sport seriously, but not themselves, which that's like our wheelhouse, I think.
Yes.
And in this conversation, we chatted about how they found swimrun, got a recap of their Autola experiences from years past as well, and what's up next for them. So it's a super fun chat. I feel like
we hit it off well with them.
Yeah, I mean, we generally hit it off well with everyone, but these guys, it was like, oh yeah, like if they're the German Sparkle Party, we're the California Sparkle Party in terms of being simpatico. Yes, so it was a super fun chat.
It was a great chat, and one living in Germany, one living in Sweden, so we were covering multiple different countries.
Yeah,
I liked sort of we kind of got to like And I think one thing interesting about German Sparkle Party that you'll hear about more, they're not afraid of their love for triathlon still, which we know we kind of poo-poo a little bit around here, but it's okay to love triathlon.
Yeah.
And they're still into triathlon, and we recorded this closer to when Kona was happening. So we were kind of, I loved the group thinking and the conversation around how do we get triathletes into swimrun, or what's the best place to kind of get expansion on that. I really like.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy from a meme perspective. It's just the memes kind of write themselves. But yeah, I mean, I have a special place in my heart for triathlon. That's how we met. So can't knock it too hard for that. And at some point, I'm going to do another triathlon. Just not for a while.
Just in a swimrun wetsuit, I guess.
Yeah. Transition. The T1 transition is going to be fast.
Lightning fast. Like, for the first time ever, someone's swimming with their shoes on during the swim portion.
It's like, yeah, can I do Escape from Alcatraz and just kind of like stay in my kit?
For sure. Well, let's get all glittered and gussied up to go dive into our conversation with Fabian and Markus, A.K.A. Team German Sparkle Party.
Is
there any diamond? They're shiny. Because I'm shiny. That's the only shiny
Shine
song.
bright like a diamond. I don't know.
Doesn't Beyonce have a song? Or
probably.
Rihanna? Diamonds. It's also a James Bond movie, Diamond. Oh, right.
Diamonds are forever.
Diamonds are forever. German Sparkle Party is also forever.
Let's just start this interview.
Wrap it up.
Very stoked to welcome to the show Team German Sparkle Party, a.k.a. Team Dryrobe, Markus and Fabian. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having us, and thanks for staying up so late.
Yeah, this is definitely like our latest starting podcast. We started some pretty early, but thanks for getting up early for us. So you guys are based in Germany and Sweden, and we're obviously in California. And, we did some, quote unquote research for this interview. And we happen to find out that it's the 10-year anniversary of your endurance bromance. Oh. So I figured we might as well start with, how did this bromance blossom in your life?
Well, you guys are up. You're really up to date, right? Yeah, because I just posted that on Instagram yesterday.
Well, that's how I do my research, is at the very last minute.
Yeah,
so it worked out great.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like, anyone else can check that out on Instagram. That we basically decided exactly 10 years ago in Kona, when we were watching the Ironman World Championships, that we should try something new, and just went on from there. The big bromance. I mean, we've known each other for the better part of 20 years, I guess, and done a lot of stuff together. But it was actually 10 years ago exactly that we saw a funny video on YouTube. Everybody can look it up. It's called The German Sparkle Party. It's very, very much taking the piss. And that's actually a Canadian guy came up with the video, and that's how the name was founded. Anything else you want to add, Markus?
No, that's more or less it. As Fabian already said, I think we've initially met through triathlon, developed a friendship, went to Hawaii, did a lot of stupid things, and one of them actually was giving this little project a name. Yeah, so it was very emotional yesterday, the 10th birthday.
That's amazing.
Awesome. I love. I'm already seeing similarities between the Low Tide Boys and the German Sparkle Party.
Definitely.
Chris and I also have done, as you guys put it, many stupid things together.
So many.
So we get what the German Sparkle Party is about. But yeah, we had a chance to run into you all, and you've been doing swim runs for quite some time. It looks like all the way back to 2014.
Yeah, first Attila was 2014.
Wow. Tell us a little bit how you went from being in Kona and being kind of triathlon obsessed to jumping into the Attila in 2014.
It was actually quite funny because there was actually kind of a swim run in Kona. I don't know who organized it. It was like a swim Run, and we more or less did every race other than the Ironman back when we were in Kona. But we said I think it was organized by Blue 70 or something. And we didn't do it because that's just bullshit, just running along the pier and then go to some cafe for whatever. A free latte macchiato. And so we basically knew about the race for a while through Slow Twitch. I think that was the initial contact with it. We have both been readers for a long time, as this was like obviously the trademark website for endurance sports, and they covered it pretty early on. I saw it. I sent the article to Fabian, and that was it. First, you kind of look at this and you thought, "Oh Jesus, how stupid is that? You're going to do it one day." But the day came quicker than we both thought, I guess.
Yeah, back then, like it was a bit different. They didn't have that many participants and that many applicants. So I think the first year we did it, we qualified with the merit selection. I actually remember we did a big, not big, but we did a PowerPoint presentation with all our credentials and merits and what we'd done in endurance, bragging big time, which is usually not our thing. But it worked, and we got hooked. And as you know, once you've done it, and I think you guys had a brilliant start to do Attila because the conditions were just ace this year. We were on the hook.
I can just imagine Michael and Mats sitting there,
looking
at this thing and being like, "Look at these fucking guys."
They're like German sparkle party. What's this about?
It's like, sure, let him in. This will be great.
Yeah, we'll show German sparkle party what's going on.
Funny. Fair enough. You're probably right.
Probably.
So we'd love to hear. You've been doing the sport for a super long time, and we definitely want to talk about the A.K.A. Team Dryrobe situation. When we met you guys this year, you looked very seasoned when we were chatting with you. Now, give us a little bit of sort of like bring us up to date as to sort of your swimrun experience, what other crazy stuff you've done, and kind of bring us up current to your sparkle partiness.
Yeah.
Well, if you did your research, you saw the pictures of the first swimrun races we did, and you see that we've come a long way. Like probably most of all the other races we've done in a few years. Our first steps were kind of wobbly with, normal wetsuit, zipper in the back, just cut the arms and the legs off, use whatever. Like first year we did it, we used running flats from Brooks, I think Brooks T5 or something. We had big trouble. And like the first race we did was Engadine in 2014, where we even had like a hip bag with a bottle in there.
Oh,
yeah, which was not a good idea, especially in the swims. Yeah, go ahead.
I think we also did quite some research on the hip bag, because I asked a friend of mine who's a flight attendant to get us this hip bag somewhere. I think she went to San Francisco, went to some shop, bought it because we wanted to have an which we thought is an aquadynamic hip bag, but it turned out to be an absolute parachute. So
or like a rudder. It's like, why do we keep swimming to the left?
Yes. Yes.
You had to import it. I love it. I've never heard of an imported a water bottle holder. That's great.
And that it failed.
And
That's
then,
the best part.
It blew up in the worst possible way for you.
Yeah,
but yeah, maybe to continue on our journey, we've before Attila and also after and in between the swimmer races, especially because we're living apart now. The two of us, we just like to hook up and meet on different places around the earth and do, as we said before, stupid stuff. Like we've run marathons together, be it in Rome or in New York City, and
nice.
Yeah, we've done triathlons. I mean, Markus is doing a lot more races and even more stupid races than myself. He's racing much more, so he's going to tell you about it in a minute, I guess. But I think the most important thing is after if you start working and you've done triathlons, and you guys will know that you just don't find the time anymore, especially for the cycling part. But with Swimrun, it's so much easier. Like you can, it actually doesn't take that much time out of your schedule to do the training, even for a compared to what you have to do, like for an Ironman, for instance. You'd have to do a lot more, and it's so much easier with Swimrun.
Yeah, totally.
We were just chatting about that the other night. Chris and I were talking, and we were kind of reflecting on the big build that we had for Attila this year, and man, how sort of dedicated and focused that we both were on it, and
how we're not prepared for our next race, which is next weekend.
And how we maybe took too good of a break. But this weekend, at the time of recording, is Kona, the big Ironman World Championship in Hawaii. And we're like, oh man, I think we put in a really good swim build that would be maybe Ironman-esque, if not a little bit more. And we're like, oh, but we're not dealing with any of the bike training, which would be, how many hours of bike training for Ironman? So you're totally right there, Fabian. I mean, you're saving 8 to 12, 15 hours of bike training by not having that iron distance bike to have to train for, even for a really physically demanding race like Attila.
Yeah, exactly. And also, like, you don't need those crazy long days, I think. Like, even for Attila, in our preparation, we didn't do any crazy long runs, for instance. We like, for an Ironman, you would usually do 30K, maybe 35K runs, and I don't do that anymore. I think the most important thing is what adds up in a week. And if you can manage to add up a certain volume, that's good enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I think...
Yeah, but I think it's sorry.
No, go for it.
But I think I have to kind of disagree a little bit with Fabian, because we're also living off a pretty big endurance base, which helps us to put this off. I would not recommend anyone to do what we do. It's like the experience plus the life miles add up to these kind of situation.
No, I think that's a really valid point. I mean, it's like at some point you just sort of like the grandeur of it isn't that big of a deal, because you've done so much crazy stuff that it's just like, oh, just like you're good for it on some level. And I wanted to ask you guys, so we're all in very similar situations. We all have, young families with young kids. Do you guys train together a lot? How do you organize your meetups and stuff and kind of get all your training in while trying to be, the German Sparkle Party dad party too?
I would guess like we never really train together. Like, I live in Stockholm, Fabian lives in our hometown in Heilbronn. But then again, we train together all the time, because I think we're both very heavily motivated by each other's Strava. So like, this is something that connects us, and where we see, okay, shit, he's doing a bit more, he's doing this, he's doing that. So that's where we take the inspiration. We meet up occasionally, maybe once or twice a year, to train specifically together, if you want to call it like this. But I don't think we can really say we're working out together. It's just technically not possible.
Gotcha.
But you're keeping your eye on everyone's Strava activities, making sure you're keeping up your end of the bargain.
Well, a little bit. I usually tell Markus to do a little less. He's a big volume guy still. But yeah, when it comes to daily life, you guys know it. You have kids yourself. You just try and squeeze it into your everyday struggle. I think both of us we like to train in the early mornings. That's what works for us the best, and it's also probably a good preparation for Attila, at least, if you're used to getting up early. But yeah, as Markus said, for this year's Attila, we basically just trained together once. Like I flew over to Sweden in July this year, and we went to Ute for a good big training weekend where we were training on the course.
Nice.
I think that was quite key. We had a really, really good day out on the course, which was also a bit scary because it was just the two of us on a summer weekend where all the Swedes were cruising around with their boats. So it was a bit scary. But we managed. And other than that, we've just known each other for so long, and we've been racing together for so long that there's not much to dial in.
Yeah.
I can tell from the way Markus is breathing how he's feeling.
Yeah.
But then again, we still have your surprises. So, and if we go back to this year, I totally agree with what Fabian said, obviously, but this year he totally surprised me with like a little downtime, which I've never saw in him before. But it was just a quick one. You still have your surprises, but overall, I totally agree. It's 10 plus years of friendship, 10 plus years traveling together, and then you have a very good understanding for a situation and also for an ability on race day. It's an advantage, and it also is our advantage in racing together that we don't really necessarily have to train together.
Yeah, I hear you. So you all had been out and done Attila, or at least been on the start line for 3 years, and Markus, you've been out there 6+ years. Really curious, what were you guys looking to accomplish on your training ground on the course? I mean, Chris and I had never been out there, so we pretty quickly saw, it's a huge advantage to basically live out here and train on this all the time because you're just going to blast across everything. What were you guys looking for that kind of training camp, if you will, when you were out there on the archipelago?
I would guess, first of all, we were looking forward to have time together, to not rush it. Like, I know the course, Fabian knows the course. I think that was not really the motivation for us. When we decided on this, our motivation was just to enjoy it for once, because like in the race situation, you get caught up, and you should get caught up, and that's why you race. But we both said we just want to have a proper long day out, see the course, sit down if we're tired, stop for, which we actually did, for a bulle, and just having a good long day. It was like, we've talked about the course, we've looked at, and the course changed since we did it the first time in 2014. It changed a lot. So we just wanted to have a long day talking, spending time together, just hanging out more or less. And I think we achieved that fairly well. And we were not looking into any gains. And I think that's not that was not the main motivation.
Well, that's the point where I have to disagree because I was hoping that we get at least that because I haven't done it that often. I was hoping to get a grip of the course and to remember a lot of parts, but
yeah, true. Yeah,
that was so naive. Like when we were racing, my mind was just blank. I didn't remember any of the exits and or the swim entrances. I forgot all about it. You know, your brain is lacking oxygen, or I don't know what it is, but yeah, that was just naive.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of makes sense. I mean, it's such a,
intense time.
I was trying to pay attention the whole time when we were out there, and there's definitely some blurry parts. Now, having just said that, is there a part of the course that you always look forward to, or that it's your favorite or your least favorite? Like, give us your, for me, it'd be the poop swim. That was very surprising, and I wish people would have spoken more about that. But everything else is great.
Well, and yeah, I was actually this year. I was actually looking forward to the long run at Ordner because I knew it's actual running. You've done it, and like the first 2 hours are just a pain. And Mats, or I think Michael or Mats said it also during the race briefing. Don't get confused by the first 1 or 2 hours. Mm-hmm. And to be honest, I'm always scared of this first part because it's so tricky. And like, I think the last time we did it, or the second last time, I fell in the first 2 hours and hurt my elbow quite a bit, which luckily went away, but it's so dangerous. So I'm always scared of the first parts and always looking forward to the longer runs where you can find a rhythm and just keep going, have a little chat, eat something, and enjoy Sweden.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see if you're in a better place with the endurance and the legs and the lungs, I guess, it would be a good time to kind of it's a very interesting point of the race. I mean, we've only done it once, but the majority of the race is kind of behind you, and once you get through this big run, yes, you still have, maybe an hour and a half to go, 2 hours, but you're kind of there. It feels like a little bit in your head. Maybe we had the wrong mindset on that, but I could see, especially if you got the legs for it too, I could see that being an enjoyable experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it is part of the race. I'm being very honest, I'm really looking forward to the to Utøvachos, to the hotel for dinner and beers and for the breakfast, because that's a big part of the race as well, and one of the best, to be honest.
Oh yeah, I mean, definitely like my favorite post-race breakfast ever. Safe to say.
Yeah.
It was so good.
That was, I mean, the whole bubble. I think when Michael and Mats are talking about it, like, oh, you're in the bubble now. You don't kind of understand until you're out the other side, I guess, is how it felt for us. But totally, it was just everyone there was doing the same thing, and it was just so cool to hang out with 400 people that were all in the same bubble and having the same experience as you. It was just a really unique scenario.
No, I totally agree, and I don't want to be like the old school, the old guy from the back now, but this was way. I'm already yeah, but this was way more intense when you had Sandhamn, the start and the sleep over in Sandhamn. Yeah. This I really have to say took a lot away.
Oh.
I know it's the only way of having the race. But this was a proper 3-day race back then. You go out, you had your meal, there was no place to run, there was no place to arrive late. Everybody was there. That was very, very special. And I think part of the whole myth and this bubble everybody talks about now, that there was a big part of it, which sadly is gone.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's almost like every sport is going to have its growing pains, and this race for sure. I mean, I can see like how it just would have been so cool to do it way back in the day, but I still kind of feel like we're still in the golden age of swimrun. I mean, the sport is 16, 17 years old at this point. I mean, I guess you've already seen it change. Do you think it's going to keep changing and kind of losing that feel, or do you think the sport's going to be able to kind of hold on?
No, it's. I think the sport, you have to see different. There's Ötillö, there's the big race that everybody wants to do and everybody needs to do. And I'm still highlighting this, and I'm not talking it down. Mm-hmm. The sport is different because the environment is different, which it takes place. So if I don't know, I've did some swimrun races across Europe, and everywhere you go, it's different. It's not like you have a certain pattern. That's why it will be interesting in the future. It will be interesting because of the location. And obviously Ötillö over the years has also changed because of the foreign participants. And it's a good thing, and it's involving. And I said it now with Sandhamn, but you should never really look back and compare it to the past, because if I look back on our first encounters, they were terrible with what we know now. So we still talk about the first races and like the first ever Ötillö, like it was like an 11-hour fucking pain ride for us, with a lot more training, a lot more preparation, but But yes, it changed. Everything changes, but I'm not a big fan of looking back, even though sometimes would be nice to have back.
But you got to say that there has always been a difference in the organization of races, at least the ones that I can speak of, the ones I had done. I think the LTBz organization, they have always done a very good job in organizing races, and all the ones we have done, they were always like very good, well organized. You don't get lost, no ribbons taken off or something. But then again, we've done other races, and there you can see that the sport is still so young. We've done a race in Belgium a few years back where we just, I think we were actually leading or in second position, and all of a sudden there were no signs, no ribbons, no volunteers on the course. We were just lost, and I know that this happened again, I think this year in Germany at some races. And yeah, you can see that the sport, as I said, is still so young, which is great. So I hope there will be a big development, and hopefully in Germany too, because I don't know why, but somehow in Germany, nothing really big is developing. A lot of people are getting a hold of swimrun, but in terms of racing or like bigger racing, there's not much going on.
Yeah, it's not like France. France seems to be really just drinking the swimrun Kool-Aid. But I'm curious. I mean, Germany has like a bunch of lakes. I mean, Attila had a race there. Maybe that race will come back. 1,000 Lakes, I think it was called.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think we need to do in Germany?
Well, location-wise, there are heaps of places. Like the one they have, 1,000 Lakes, it's in the north, but also like in the south, in the Alpine regions. Similar to Engadine, there would be a lot of cool places to do swimrun races. But yeah, I mean, Markus, maybe you can add to that. I think you heard something about a TV documentary in France, and being the reason why it is so popular.
I would guess now with France, like they have also been historically in endurance sport, like a country that picks up on stuff quicker. I think triathlon, even before it was big in Germany, and I think we cannot really talk about other region where we grew up, because we had the American soldiers that kind of installed the triathlon into our little sporting community where we're from. But traditionally, endurance sports have always been very big in France, and the curiosity for it, I think, was this. They have one, I don't know what this TV program is called, and they had a huge documentary about it. So at least all my colleagues in France, which they usually never have anything to do with sports, they know about LTBz because of this documentary on French television. So I think that helped the sport quite a lot down there. And as Fabian also said, I think different to Germany, they also have the environment. I think Germany is so heavily regulated. Sweden is not when it comes to this. You have the Allemansrätt. This is like the right to use space. And in Germany, you have clubs. You have like the Fisherman's Club. You have like personally, we had one training, a kind of loop along a river. And then like a friend and I, we kind of funny for just to see how we could get anything going. We forgot it about half-day planning, because then once you contact the local fisherman club that organizes this part of the river, and until you have explained to some 70-year-old German fisherman about swimming and running, forget about it. So I think our big problem is Germany. There's just too many people and too less space, and too many regularities. Like Fabian, you know it, like with the triathlon back in the days, organizing a triathlon nowadays, even in Germany, is so tough. And I think this is a really neck breaker for the sport in Germany. I think there are workarounds, and maybe the concept of what we know now as a swimrun needs to be rethought in Germany. Maybe it's something you organize kind of with your friends, half illegally, which had happened as well, and which I'm a big fan of. If you have a group of 10 people or 10 teams, just make a course yourself and do it. But I think otherwise it's very hard in Germany, and a big advantage for like, let's say in Spain, Portugal, and France, where you maybe not so much regulated, and you have the environmental possibilities to stage these races. that's my take on it. Therefore, I don't know why, let's say, America and Canada have more races, because like that's a massive playground. Like I want to see a swim run on Vancouver Island, for example.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of the problem here is just like everybody's ready to sue other people. So there's, like, I mean, we were talking about it, Attila, like there's no way that race would happen here because the race organizers would have to get so much insurance against the risk of someone falling. Even if you sign waivers and all that stuff, that doesn't stop people from suing necessarily.
You just remind me on a very nice. I think you've been to Catalina Island. I think. Yeah. Can you remember this one question? And I'm not. I don't want to insult that lovely woman that asked the question about the sunscreen being handed at the aid station. Can you remember this?
Yeah, we that funny story about that. So they had the whole Michael and Mons did their whole presentation before, and this is their first race on American soil, and we were hanging out with some of the ARC people after, and they were all pretty tickled about the questions that the Americans were asking about what kind of food is on course and what happens if it rains tomorrow, and the sunscreen question and stuff. It is just, I guess we do it a little bit differently everywhere, it seems.
But I will say, I think like Catalina in particular, that was a lot of triathletes' first swimrun experience. So they were doing it because of, it's like the Ironman of Attila. I mean, Attila is like sort of the Ironman of triathlon or whatever. So I think there was a lot of people there who were fit endurance-wise and were polyathletes, but it got really real and they were going into the unknown and they just fell back into their type A kind of like, okay, where are the aid stations again? Like how far apart are they? Like what's on there? It's kind of funny. Yeah, but I remember being like, I think I even told you, I was like, oh, this is a triathlete question right there.
What kind of bars do you have?
But maybe that's also the problem. If I don't want to use the word problem, but if you see where the sport comes from, it's not founded by triathletes. And I've done terrible races in Spain, and I don't want to put any name on this well-known race by now, but we did the first editions. And to see how individual sportsmen and women behave in a team sport is shocking. Like, I think it's this triathlon DNA of I'm on my own is hard to translate into swimrun. And I think even now, this year at ÖTL, you saw some really weird encounters by teams that were not kind of respecting each other, helping each other. And this could also be a problem that holds swimrun back, that maybe the ultra running community should open up, because I think the camaraderie and the sportsmanship in ultra running is way higher than in triathlon. And even I did an M.Dot event 2 years ago or 3 years, I can't remember. And it's just, it feels so out of place because you're in this together, but then you're an individual mass of customers that go around like a little endurance park. And that's about it. So I think it has a lot to do with the headspace and the self-pride and self-esteem to do such a sport. And I'm not sure if all triathletes are necessarily willing to share their fitness and share their share their pride with someone else.
Yeah.
And this is a problem internationally, which is not here. Like, I've never raced with anyone that dragged me or shouted at me or ran away from me. That's just not something that crosses people's mind here in Sweden or with my friends from Germany, let's say.
But I was close a few times.
No, but essentially, I think this is where a lot of work has to be done, opening up to other sporting categories. And just to simply, and I'm not hating on triathlon, please don't get me wrong. I'm still a big triathlon fan, but not a fan of new school triathletes.
Yeah. I'll say, I mean, what we have really been, I mean, we do out of our 11 races, 10 of them have been in the United States here. So the community that is happening in the United States on the swimrun front is just so awesome and welcoming. I think it's really helping the momentum here. We have a couple like Facebook groups that are maybe around the Odyssey races, which is probably our biggest one in the States here. And every week there's someone on like, oh, I'm doing my first swim run. What should I, just kind of the normal beginner questions. And there's like 10 people there just so ready to, hey, come out here. Oh, you need a wetsuit. Let me send you one. Join this party. Oh, you need a partner. Like everyone's just welcoming with such open arms. And I think that's really helping the momentum and the love of swimrun kind of grow here in the United States.
Totally. I think you have an advantage there in the United States because generally speaking, at least from an outside perspective, Americans are always more welcoming and friendly, and maybe a bit more open to take a step back and be a bit more humble. You know what I mean? Like they're not as maybe stubborn as Germans might be.
Yeah, no, totally. And I think, sorry to interrupt, Fabian, because I think that's how I fell in love into the sport, because you can just, and I include Fabian and I would guess everyone that's in our circle of swimrun friends. If you have a question, if you're unsure how to fix your shoelace or what do you do, you just contact the person and he will respond. Like, since I do this sport and I had a question, like our, I don't want to say childhood heroes, Lele Moberg and Daniel Hansson, you just ask them, okay, what are you doing? And they will tell you what they're going to do. They will even tell you how much they train. They probably won't let you win, and that's fine, but they will tell you. And it's we're not at this level, we'll never be, but I think everyone will share a secret, if it's not a secret really, but everyone will share experience. Yeah, and I'm happy to hear that this is the case in your community.
Well, I think here in the States, one of the things when we started the show, we kind of figured out that like for people to really enjoy swimrun, you kind of have to be sort of past your, what we call it, your post-triathlon state for a lot of people, right? You get into the triathlon, it's a time trial, you're doing whatever you do. At some point, that just doesn't melt your butter anymore or whatever, light your wick, whatever expression you want to use, and
salt your pretzel.
Yep.
we love pretzels.
Yeah, that's a good one. Pretzel.
I do too.
I had one of those after the Berlin Marathon. Whenever I did that, like 8 years ago, it was so good. So good.
Oh yeah.
Well, but you shouldn't have a pretzel in Berlin because that's not where they make them.
Yeah.
It hit the spot.
Yeah.
It hit the spot at that moment when I needed it.
Yeah.
The funniest part about that is the next day we're at some beer garden and there's like all these people wearing their medals because everyone's super proud, but all like the Germans are smoking cigarettes again, like no problem, just drinking beer, holding their medal. I love it.
Let me get a liter and a couple heaters.
Yeah. But anyway, I think in the U.S., when we started the show, we try to be really intentional about it. It's like, hey, one of the things we think it's the greatest thing about the sport is the community. So why not just put it out there? It's like, hey, everything we do, it's like we want it to be welcoming, inclusive, no judgments. Like, you want to win, good for you. You want to just have fun, good for you too. Like, first place, last place, we don't really care. Doesn't really care to us. Yeah. We just want you to have that first transition experience, which we think is where the magic is at. And it's like, hey, if that's the kind of sparkle party we want to have, and we're the ones who are trying to share that message, why not just go for it? And hopefully it grows
totally.
That way.
And a thought. No, I totally agree, and you completely put it right. But I also have to add that if you now is the time of the year pre-Kona where I more or less get back into the triathlon bubble and soak in everything I can get. Mm-hmm. But one thought that crossed my mind, there's probably it's a 2-man's race this year in Kona, and it's probably decided by the two guys that take the sport serious, but then not take the sport serious.
Right.
So
they train together all the time.
Would you be surprised? Yes. Would you be surprised if Ideen and Blumenfeld and this sounds crazy now, but would you be surprised if Ideen and Blumenfeld show up at Ute, do Ute and win it, and then 2 weeks later go to a what is it called, PTO race? I would not be surprised, because that would be a proper, let's say for these guys, maybe 4-hour effort. It would not tire them down too much because it's like of the combination, but it will help their overall fitness. I think there is a market to top end racing in this sport, but it should never lose like the grassroots excitement. I just don't think a lot of people are in the headspace in these popular flashy endurance sports to take this in, and they should actually learn from these newly bred training groups and the Norwegians, showing them that you can actually have fun and not take yourself serious, but take it serious when it matters. And this was a big takeaway for me now leading up to Kona, that probably the two people that are not overdoing it mentally will probably win it.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, I hadn't really thought about the fact that those guys train together all the time.
Yeah, that's true. Have you guys been to Kona, Chris and Chipper?
No.
No, I mean not doing the race, but like, have you been there? Like, have you visited the place or?
No,
I've been to Hawaii once.
Yeah,
I went to
I've been to Hawaii a couple times, but never to Kona. And I don't drink coffee, so it's like, why am I going to go to Kona?
Oh man.
But I don't think it was ever. I think when we were in our triathlon state, it was. I mean, it was just not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't have the gas for Kona. Speaking of having the gas, you all's first attempt at Ötztalä, you came in just over 11 hours. This year, 2022, you got cozied up in some dry robes and you smoked it. Sub 9 hours, 8:52. Kudos, boys. But we'd love to hear some highlights of your race this year.
Well, we took off the dry ropes before the start. That helped.
That probably helped.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Yeah. But we were happy to put them on after. To be fair.
Oh yeah.
Because as you know, even though it was a warm day, you do get cold after the long swims. So you want us to take you through the race quickly? Is that what?
Yeah, hit some highlights for us. What were some of your most enjoyable parts?
Okay, I take my first highlight, then we bounce it. I think the first highlight was to make the race, to be healthy, and to just be in the right headspace.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, exactly. Like, even though I always claim to not get confused by all this COVID nonsense, I got to admit I still do. So I was very nervous to make it. And I think one of you actually had COVID just before the race. So
you know what I'm talking about. Weeks before.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I was really nervous to make it. So I got to agree with Markus. And it's really difficult to talk highlights because I think the highlight was that the whole day just went smooth. Like we didn't, we had, like everyone, we had some ups and downs. And as Markus said before, I had a really big down in the last hour, which luckily ended as quickly as it came. But the whole day was just so smooth. And the conditions helped, to be faster. Sure. And as I said, if you compare our first race with 11 hours to the one we had now, like the wetsuits only make such a big difference.
That's a good point.
All the gear you use, and in the first year we did it, we just, we were making use of our entrance fee. We stopped at all the aid stations and having a good time, checking out what they had, enjoying all the food, having a sausage, having all the cinnamon rolls, and really taking time. And this year we were just rushing. We, at least Markus, he knows more or less where all the aid stations are. And what we did is we were eating before the aid stations and basically just walked through and had some water and kept going. And that's also what helps you quite a bit to get faster.
Sure.
Just don't stop. I know it's a common phrase, but we really try to not stop at all.
Yeah,
Just
I mean,
keep
you think all the
going all the
transitions
time.
and everything else like that. That's yeah. I mean, it's funny because at once that does sound really basic, like, oh yeah, just try to keep moving forward. But there's so much tactics and experience that goes into even being able to feel like you can just do that. And I'm curious. So Fabian, you've only ever had one swimrun partner, according to Swimrun Watch.
No,
and that's been Markus.
True.
That's not true. You've done other races.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. I've done other races. I've done Engadine a few years back with Knut Bartok from Norway, who I've also known a long time, and we've studied in the same place in Germany. We did Engadine a few years back, where I think came fourth. That was also one of the best races I did, I think. And I've done the inaugural Brecca Bottomere in the Lake District in the UK with Malte, also another friend I know from uni and from the triathlon days. Where that was actually a good story. Like there was the inaugural Brecca race in Bottomere, and Markus and Knut also were signed up for that race. And I decided with Malte, who is also a German guy from who I studied with, and we decided to surprise Markus and Knut, and we signed up for the race, but didn't tell them. And we basically we showed up the day before the race, and it was good fun, and we kicked their ass.
Nice
surprise.
Yeah, but you have to. I think you have to also mention. I'm sounding loud now, like I'm changing partners here and there. Like you bail out of Italy. That's why Knut jumped in. He was more or less your substitute after you've took a sabbatical of 1 or 2 years sabbatical at Italy.
Yeah, I got married. Sorry for that.
Well, I mean, it's helpful to hear because according to Swimrun Watch, it was looking like it was like one person's in a monogamous relationship, the other person is not.
How many hall passes do you have, Markus? That's what we were wondering.
So I basically have let me just do that question again and ask it this way. You guys have raced a lot together. You've raced with a lot of different partners. What is it that first of all, what do you see in each other that makes you guys a great partnership? And what is it that you would look for if someone's out there be like, I wish I had an awesome swimrun partner? Like, what are the features that you look for in a good swimrun partner?
Well, I think I have to, we have to start at the start of this podcast. I think Fabian and I, we know each other for a long time. We decided to do it. He bailed out. I asked Knut. You can make some research on him. He took more or less Swimrun. Then I don't want to say by storm, but he was very successful. He's a super good athlete. But first and foremost, he's a really, really good friend and a person I trust 100%. Mm-hmm. So he jumped in. I think I still remember we were training in in Bavaria on a weekend. I think we introduced him to Swimrun. He was like a triathlete, a bit fed up with the sport. And after an hour in the water, I think he looks at us and says, "This is the coolest thing I've ever did in my whole life." And that was in 2016 or so. And then he more or less, he's way above. I think I have to speak for Fabian as well. He's way above our punchline when it comes to capability in the sport, because he's just better in all disciplines. And but first and foremost, he's a super solid guy, and I think everyone I had the chance to race with, sometimes it was coincident that I jumped in for people that were injured, but then for me, really the decision part was not looking into, does this guy now help me to win the race? It's always to me, do I want to meet him afterwards and have a beer, or even go out, watch a football match or whatever? That's always way more important to me. And I don't need to do races just to prove a point for myself. I just like training more actually than racing. I train a lot with other people because I think it's just a nice way of socializing. And then you end up doing these events and you just end up doing it with people you really want to spend time with, even when it's uncomfortable. I think that's what a lot of people, you strip yourself. Like, that's small as it. Like a friend of mine, he got injured for a race this year, which we won, Långholmen Swimrun. I have to feature them here. It's the best race in downtown Stockholm. Like, everybody come over and do it. I love it. But my partner, for example, he got sick the day before, and I just rang a friend, which I really like to hang out with. I had no idea if he was fit. He was like, okay, I'm not sure if let's do it. And we just basically decide the night before doing it. And we had an awesome day. And it was, for me, because I never take the time just to travel to his place and spend time with it. He's, by the way, he's organizing Angalopet, another race I would like to feature here.
Yeah,
and
awesome.
So Nisse, he's such a nice guy. And just, we had a very mixed day. But I had a really rough patch, and you just have to be comfortable telling him, hey, Nisse, I'm fucked. And then he was like, everything is cool. There was no shouting, no fear of any reaction in a negative way. And I think you really need to know the person you're racing with. And then I think for me, the fitness level doesn't really matter, because if I commit to do a race with somebody, if we come last, we come last. If we win, we win. If we have the chance to fight for a podium, and we do it and motivate each other. But that's what I look into it. Like, it's more or less, I see it more or less as a social gathering sometimes, which then evolves into a race.
Wow. Well,
yeah, not much to add. Maybe
good luck topping that one.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the most important things is maybe honesty and being humble.
Yeah.
To maybe just summarize it, you just got to imagine that, at least for LTBz, for a lot of other races, you probably going to share a room the night before or the night after the race, and just ask yourself, am I willing to share a room with the other person? If the answer is no, then it's probably not a good swimmer partner.
You know what? That's
you want to spend like 3 days in a row and never leave this, literally be tied up to them for hours. If you're questioning that answer, probably pass.
I mean, it's funny you say that, because I just remembered now. I remember during the race, there was a team that was ahead of us. They weren't tethered, and the guy in the front got out of the water and just climbed up the rocks and was waiting for his partner that was kind of struggling getting out of the water, and he was just standing there just kind of waiting for him. And I just remember going out. I was like, man, that's kind of a dick move right there. Like, you should be helping your partner. And I think it's, I can't agree more with the way you characterize that, which is like, hey, if you have the same goals and you understand that you're in this together and it's a team thing, I mean, it's.
But you know yourself, it's like always in life, negative energy brings you nowhere, and you really need to be honest to yourself and to the person you're racing with. Positive energy, by the way, brings you a long way. And that's, I think, we are a good example. Sorry to be so braggy about it, but there is rarely a negative mind or a mindset when we race together. Sure, we have problems, and we had some really dark patches, and I was in like, both of us have been in shitty situations, but there is not a really negative downwhirl that's been developing. And this is really something you really need to be honest to yourself, and also talk to the person you're racing with about it.
Yeah.
And maybe just one thing to add, you got to remember, you cannot be more than 10 meters apart. And there are points in the race where someone might have to go to the toilet. So think about that.
Yeah,
it's true. You got to be right outside.
Got to be ready, holding that teepee, ready to go if need be.
That's too funny.
Yeah.
So changing topics a little bit. So you guys are the OG German Sparkle Party, but you're also Team Dryrobe. Why don't you tell us a little bit about kind of how that came about?
There was we got contacted by Dryrobe. I don't know when, but I think it was start of last year. We both knew the company. We didn't know that they were sponsoring LTBz at the time. I think we're
start of this year. Sorry to correct you. It was start of this year.
Yeah, you're right. The offer came. I think they wanted a team that was qualified. We qualified in Malta last year. I had a very good phone call with them about expectations, because I told them we're not going to win it. Not at least not in the foreseen future, or never ever. So we were super honest about them. But I think the reason for us, and I'm not saying this now to I don't know, to sound super real, but we looked into the product, we looked into the company, how it's been built and everything. We both are not really craving for sponsorship. We're happy to have it, obviously. We knew the product. I was living in Ireland for 5 years, so I know it well enough from the open water swimming.
It's like a necessity.
And, yes, and so we basically clicked with them, and we're super happy that they are on board the way they are. And it's easy, I think, to have such a partnership if it's fun for both sides and if it's honest and open, as always, as we just talked about it. And that was from the start our motivation, and we're obviously humbled to have this opportunity, also to work with Saucony and Mountain. It's companies which I would buy a product every day, and it's fun to just work and profit on both sides.
Yeah. So
that's how the Dryrobe thing came about, and we're happy to now that they're out of the European Union to at least keep some ones to England and not let them float off the horizon.
I think what you can see also with big brands in the sports industry is that people might wonder why is a team like us being, I wouldn't really call it sponsored, but like let's call it supported by brands like you said, Dryrobe and Saucony, for instance. People might wonder, but what you can see, I think, also with, let's say, Nike or the big brands, is that they're not focusing on the winning teams or on the big champions only anymore. But if you look at commercials, it's moving towards like age group athletes or everyday athletes or weekend warriors and
regular people.
Regular people, yeah, exactly. Like we might not be like regular people, but in the endurance sports bubble, I think we probably are.
At work, you're still an endurance freak. You're still the
your
freak
coworkers
that
are like, this
goes
is
riding a
crazy
bike all the time. But in the
it's totally true.
Normal,
totally true. Yeah, but and I think that's what we can offer, and that's I hope that's why these brands and these companies are also happy with us.
Yeah, I mean, clearly you guys are a ton of fun to hang out with, and you have great vibes and personality, and you have the perfect mindset for it. So it totally makes obviously it makes sense to us. But
and I think like having met the Dryrobe folks when we were out there, I mean, they were just so cool. I mean, it seemed like, you know, you guys sort of embodied kind of the ethos that they wanted to put out there. Like they were out there just trying to have a good time and chat with people and introduce people to the product and stuff. So I mean, I got a really good vibe from them when we met them when we were out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you look where they come from, the company, how it's founded, how they grew it, it's super impressive for me. Just who has an interest in this business, and that also combined in meeting them, was as you said, an absolute no-brainer.
Yeah. So
is it big? Is it big in the States? Like, is Dryrobe a huge brand in the United States?
It's not a huge brand. Definitely see it around, especially more for like open water swimmers. But yeah, not too much. I mean, not at all in the swimrun space.
You need to
get
the
swimrun space is super small. But
you need to get some of these old skinny dudes at Dolphin Swim Club. Some of these Dryropes.
We bang into the old guys in their Speedos in the aquatic park in San Francisco, and they give us the stink eye every time.
Yeah, like you're in our water. It's like not your water, old timer. Any hoodle. Listen, guys, we've had you on for a super long time. It is way past our bedtime. We want to thank you both so much for coming on. It was great to chat with you. From our first interaction with you, we already knew this was like a kindred spirit situation. Yes. And we actually got a couple of recommendations to have this interview, including from one of our patrons on Patreon, Michael. So he was like, you guys should definitely interview these guys. And we're like, yeah, we're on it, dude. Like, it's going to happen. So yeah, I want to thank you both so much for taking the time to come on the show.
Thanks so much.
Thank you guys.
For sure.
Absolutely. And I think
that's episode number how much of your show?
Man, we're I don't know which one this will. Now.
Yeah, we're almost at 150. This one will be like, I don't know which episode this will be, so I don't want to give it a number.
Keep pioneering. It's
pioneering.
I mean, at some point we got to land this plane, but we're not landing it anytime soon. That's for sure.
We'll keep being
good job. We would need guys like you in Germany to grow the sport. But yeah, thanks anyway. Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
absolutely. For sure. And we'll see it. We'll see you out there sometime. Maybe back in Sweden. We'll see.
You're more than welcome, and then let us know, because then we organize some proper pretzels, not the
one. Sure. I'll take a proper pretzel.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys are down with the Fika scene, you got two friends.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys knew, Chipper won the Fika World Championship. That was also happening that weekend.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
awesome.
Super, guys. Thanks a lot for everything you do. I think it's super important, and I'm super happy to hear that Swimrun in the US is going the right way, and hopefully we see each other in Catalina in a few months.
That'd be great.
That would be great.
That'd be great. And you guys should consider Casco Bay. You still have to cross the Atlantic, but it's much closer.
It's in Maine. It's right.
It's in July. Yeah. It's a great race, so you guys should.
For a nice summer. Summer in the States.
Easier to connect, easier to get there than to connect with this Zoom call, I guess.
Yeah. Easier than get the technology sorted out. Awesome.
All right, guys. Have a great day. Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye. You too. Take care.
Bye. Well, that's it for this week's episode. Thanks so much for listening to the show. Make sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and leave a review, since that's the best way to help other people discover the show and the sport of swimrun.
Sign up for our newsletter at lowtideboys.com. That's boys with a Z. And check out our meme page at the Low Tide Boys on Instagram. If you have any suggestions for the show or questions for us, send us a DM or an email at lowtideboys@gmail.com.
We'd like to thank Riding Easy Records for our show music, and of course our wives for their support and tolerance of all our swimrun activities, podcast, and other stuff.
Yeah, other stuff. Way to keep it PG. Finally, you can support our efforts on Patreon. Until next time, get out there and go for a swim.
Go for a run.
Then another swim.
Then another run.
And then another swim.
And then another run.
And then just keep going. Until you're done.
Or maybe can't stop.